You can't just like wake up one day and go, okay, I'm gonna eat a heart's horse. Okay, so we are back with Game of Thrones, the book. We are on the chapter featuring Daenerys. Dany is in WESTWORLD. She's in the pit, and we are at the part of the story where she is in the pit eating the horse's heart. I thought, you know what's funny, when I saw the scene in the show, we gotta talk about the show for like a second, I remember thinking, how the hell do you get used, how do you do that? But in the book, they explain for a while before she had to do this, her handmaids have been getting her ready for the task by like feeding her half-clotted blood and horse flesh and all that stuff just to get her accustomed to the taste and to like strengthen her jaw for all the chewing she was gonna have to do. It makes sense because you can't just wake up one day and go, okay, I'm gonna eat a heart of a horse. That's what we're doing today. So she had been preparing for a while. So she's in the center, she's eating the heart. Khal Drogo is standing over her looking at her, and just as in the show, like when she's getting sick or she feels like she's going to puke or she's getting tired, she looks at him for strength, and towards the end you can see him looking at her with pride because he's proud of his girl, and she eats the heart, and she stands and says his name shall be Rhaego, and they start chanting Rhaego, Rhaego, the stallion who shall mount the world, all that stuff. They are leaving the pits and going to the sacred lake so Dany can wash herself, and Khal Drogo comes to her and says in his broken common tongue that he's trying to learn, he asks her what Rhaego means, and she says that her brother's name was Rhaegar and he was a fierce warrior, and she says that Ser Jorah says that he was the last of the dragons. I think it's cute that they put that Khal Drogo calls her Daenerys, like two separate words. That's adorable. I was like, oh, he's trying to speak common language or whatever, and he's just like broken. That's adorable. So he leaves her, he goes to the head of the procession. She gets to the lake, she strips naked in front of everybody because the Dothraki have like no shame. She washes herself in the lake, and she comes from out of the water all glistening and pretty with her pregnant belly and her boobs, and Khal Drogo is so turned on that he just like picks her up and screws her right there, standing up. And I'm sorry, my Khal Drogo would take more than 3 thrusts. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I know it's probably inappropriate to say, but like that's it. That's all you got, dude. That's it. They go to a tent that's like draped in silk to have a celebration. And one thing I wanted to note too, I feel like we lose the scope of the size of the Dothraki in the film because, and like on TV, because here it seems like there are like a lot of people, and in this scene on TV it is like it seemed a little bit smaller. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it was a lot bigger than they were able to portray. Maybe because it was season 1. So Khal Drogo takes his place. His 3 riders are below him. Ser Jorah is in the middle of the pit. It's a place of honor. Good for him. So they're drinking, eating, having a good time. And Ser Jorah talks and tells her that her brother had been planning on recruiting some sellswords for his army, and that he went off to go do that. Dany asks, you know, if Jorah should have gone with them, and he's like, we're in the WESTWORLD. He won't, there's no bloodshed here. But she's like, yeah, but Drogo told me people do die here. So like, people can get strangled and stuff, and there's no bloodshed, but they still die. Then he informs her that her brother had planned on stealing her dragons and that he stopped him. Well, the dragon's eggs. And she's like, they're only stones. Why would he even bother stealing those? And he's like, well, the same can be said for, you know, rubies and diamonds and stuff, but people still pay a lot for those. And Dany says she doesn't understand. If he wanted them, he could have just asked for them. He's her brother and her true king. And Jorah says, no, he's your brother. She's like, you understand, like, my mother died giving birth to me. Everyone else is dead. He is all I have. And Jorah's like, no, Khaleesi, you are a Dothraki now. You have a baby in your belly. These are your people. So of course, dumbass comes wandering in, all drunk. The music's stopping. She's like, go to him, stop him, tell him he can have the eggs if he wants them. Just stop him, because we know he's going to do something stupid. And he's screaming, acting stupid. He's like, I'm here for the feast. And Khal Drogo says, your place is back there. He's like, that's not a place for a king. I should be up there with you or whatever. And Khal Drogo's like, that is a place for you, Sorefoot King. Which is funny. You can call him Sorefoot King. And then, of course, Idiot pulls his sword, and everyone's, like, aghast because there's no bloodshed in WESTWORLD, and he's being a dumbass. Dany's like, listen, if you want the eggs, you can have the eggs. And Viserys, of course, By this point, he's past the eggs. Like, he's just gone. And Viserys is like, tell him I want what I came for, or I'm taking you back. He's like, I'll cut the baby out leaving forward if he wants to, but I'm taking you back. The translator, of course, is like scared, and Dany's like, don't worry, I got it. So she says it in Dothraki so Khal Drogo can understand. And Khal Drogo says, fine, you shall have a crown that others shall tremble to behold. Such a good line. Such a good line. And Viserys is, of course, like, that's all I wanted. So the men grab him, make him kneel. Khal Drogo goes over to the pot, puts gold in a pot, waits till it's like half melted. Daenerys is yelling, no, Dany, sweet sister, but like, really, sweet sister, after what you just said, anyway. Khal Drogo reaches over into the fire, pulls out the pot and says, here, a crown for a cart king, and pours it over his head. And then Dany says, our favorite line, he was no dragon, fire cannot kill a dragon. And scene. That's still my favorite episode of Game of Thrones, by the way. I know Battle of the Bastards and Winds of Winter are before that one. They're 1 and 2. But season 1, episode 6 is still like, that's such a good episode. It's such a good episode. Alright, so we're back with Ned. He's asleep and he's awakened by Tomard, his guy person. He says the king has summoned him, and Ned's thinking, good, the king is back. Of course, through his mind, he's thinking, okay, he's back, I need to talk to him. Anyway, I guess he wasn't really, I mean, it was the middle of the night, so I guess he wasn't really thinking, hey, it's nighttime, why didn't he wait till morning? He goes to Robert's room, and he realizes there are 3 white cloaks standing outside, and he knows that's a bad sign. And he goes in, and he can see that, you know, it's dark, they're putting wood on the fire, Cersei's hair is all disheveled, even though she looks like, you know, she's wide awake, and, you know, Ned can just tell that something's wrong. And he goes over to Robert, and he can see on his face, he can tell that something's wrong, he's been hurt or whatever. Robert tells him that it was a boar, a big-ass boar, that got him because he missed his thrust, too much wine. And Ned asks where the heck were Sir Barristan and Renly, and they're like, he asked us to stay away from him, he wanted to go do the kill himself. Ned pulls back the blanket, and he sees that, oh, the boar split him from groin to nipple, like all the way, oh my god. And back in those days, there were like no antiseptic and all that stuff, so you know it must have smelled horrible, because Robert's like, it stinks of death. Yeah, I bet it had to carry him all that way back. And oh my gosh. Robert's happy that he at least killed the boar and tells him it's for a feast. You know, I want you to eat it. Then he orders everyone out of the room. Cersei kind of objects, and he's like, get out, woman. Ned's like, damn you, Robert. And Robert says, fuck you, Ned. And he says, you're right about Daenerys. She's only a girl. This is the way the gods are punishing me for doing what I did. He tells Ned to get some paper and a pen so he can write down his last will and testament or whatever. And the whole time Ned's thinking, how am I going to tell him? Like, Robert, Joffrey's not your son. Ned says, Robert, you can't do this to me. You can't die on me. The realm needs you right now. And Robert says, Ned, you're such a bad liar. I mean, it's true. Robert signs the will and testament, and Ned says that the seal should be witnessed, and Ned's just, I mean, Robert's just not listening to him. He's like, you make sure you eat the beast, make sure his skin is seared, and he has an apple in his mouth, then you eat that damn beast at my funeral. Promise me, Ned. As soon as he says that, Ned has a flashback of Lyanna saying, promise me, Ned. He tells Ned, if he can, let the girl Daenerys live. If you can do it, he doesn't know if it's too late to stop the assassin thing, whatever, but he says if you can, try to stop it. Robert asks for something for the pain, and then he tells Ned he's going to give Lyanna his love for him, and asks Ned to take care of his children, and Ned promises to look after them. Ned leaves the room and asks Maester Pycelle how long he has, and he's like, he should be dead already. He's never seen anyone clean the life so long after, you know, getting stabbed pretty much. Renly says that Robert slew the boar, like, with his guts hanging out of him. He killed it. Oh my god. And Ned says, you know, he was never one to leave the battleground before the battle was over. Renly and Barristan tell him that Robert blamed the wine. And Ned asks, you know, where did the wine come from? They tell him he only had one skin, or like multiple skins, but it was served by the squire. Ned, you can tell Ned is kind of suspicious of this already. But they tell him, like, he had a lot of wine, because it's Robert, of course he's going to drink a lot of wine. And Varys says, well, you know, such a dutiful squire to make sure he never was out without refreshment. Ned asks which squire it was, and Sir Barristan tells him that it's Lancel. Ned knows who that is. Ned tells Varys that Robert had a change of heart and he doesn't want to kill Daenerys, and Varys is like, I've already sent those little birds out there. Like, I'll try to stop them if I can, but it might be too late. So Ned sends pretty much everybody away, and he tells Renly and Barristan, like, what's up about Joffrey. And Renly's like, has Robert named you Protector of the Realm? We need to get Cersei away from Joffrey as soon as possible. If he's named you Protector, you need to take hold of the kingdom now. And Ned's like, Robert's not even dead yet. I want to have a meeting with the council and read them his words first. And Renly's like, you're a dumbass. Ned says we need to pray for Robert to not die. Renly says there's a small chance of that. Ned's like, sometimes the gods are merciful. Dude, you saw him split from groin to chest, like from a board, and they sewed him up as best they could and it stunk. What's wrong with you? Anyway, Ned says sometimes the gods are merciful, and really says the Lannisters are not, because he knows them. So Ned tells one of his people to go get Littlefinger, stupid, and he tells his guy Tom he's going to give him a letter that he needs to go to Dragonstone and give directly to Stannis Baratheon, not anyone else, to put it right in Stannis' hand. You don't trust anybody else, but then you call for Littlefinger. Ugh. So his people come back with His people come back with Littlefinger just as he's finishing the letter. Littlefinger says, I guess congratulations are in order. And Ned's like, Robert is about to die and you're congratulating me? And Littlefinger's like, yeah, he's named you Protector of the Realm. It's congratulation time, sir. Ned tells Littlefinger that he knows that Lord Aaron died because he found out that the kids were not Robert's. Littlefinger's like, shocking. He wasn't, duh. So Ned says, of course, that by right, the throne passes to Stannis, who is the eldest brother. And Littlefinger's like, listen, are you sure you want to do that? Because if you give Stannis a throne, he'll thank you, but you won't get anything out of it. And it's going to mean war between the Baratheons and the Lannisters. If you just go with the fact that Joffrey is the king, you can stay Protector of the Realm, and then you'll have control of the kingdom. That would be smarter. I feel like it's not explained as well in the show, that's what Littlefinger was trying to get him to see. Or maybe I just don't remember that. It was a while ago when I watched the season, like a year and a half, 2 years ago now. But I just don't remember it being explained that well on the TV show. He's like, and then if Joffrey is ever troublesome about or something, then we can put Renly on the throne. And Ned's like, we? And Littlefinger's like, yeah, you're going to need somebody to share the responsibility of, you know, having the kingdom. He's like, I promise you, my price will be very, very modest. And Ned says, you are suggesting treason. And Lord Baelish is like, only if we lose. Which is true, right? If you win, it's not treason because you are in control of everything. It's only treason if they kill you. And Ned's mad at all this. He's like, you forget about Jon Arryn and everything that's happened. They sent someone to cut my kid's throat. And Littlefinger's like, okay, well, I'm sorry. For a minute I forgot I was talking to a Stark. Never mind. So we're gonna go to war then. It's gonna be Stannis and war. That's what you're choosing. And it's like, yep, that's what we're doing. Ned's thinking about the fact that the Queen and Joffrey, they have the King's Guard and the Lannister men all at their disposal at this moment. And Littlefinger says, you know, and here you are with no army. Littlefinger says, when the Queen pronounces one king and the Hand pronounces another, what happens to all the people in the middle? And he tells Ned, basically, they go to the people who pay them the most. And Ned, of course, won't do that because he's a Stark. So Littlefinger's like, you know, I figured you wouldn't be able to say that, so I'm going to say it for you. We need to pay some people. Here's who we need to pay. I'll take care of it for you. Okay, so we're on another Jon chapter, because I'm so happy because I love book Jon. Well, maybe not this chapter. Jon is having breakfast when Sam comes in and is all excited that he's going to be made a brother of the Night's Watch just like everybody else, because he was for sure that he was going to be left behind, which he probably should have if Jon hadn't talked to Maester Aemon, but whatever. Mormont has them all assembled. He's like, you're gonna be taking your oaths. Are there any of you who still pray to the old gods instead of the new ones, who need to go say your oath before Hearttree? Jon says he is. Sam Tarly says that he wants to do it as well, and Mormont's like, oh, what do you mean? Does your family still serve the old gods? I thought they were the new people. Sam says the new gods have never answered my prayers. Maybe the old gods will. So Mormont says all the names of the new brothers and tells them what they're going to be assigned to. Jon is assigned to the stewards, and immediately he is just pissed off. He is all up in his ego and pissed off as everybody is being assigned, and he says, you know, this is probably Sir Alistair's doing, blah, blah, blah. Seems like when I was little, my father used to take me everywhere with him. I used to sit in all his boring meetings and go places with them, and then when my younger brother was born, he took him because he wanted to groom him to take over the house. They're grooming you to take command. And Jon says, you know, I never asked for this. And Sam reminds him, like, none of us asked for this. I don't know what that language that was. And Jon, like, sighs. He's like, you're right. I was acting like a dumbass. And Sam's like, so you're going to stay and say the words with me? And Jon's like, yeah, I'll stay with you, Sam. I love their bromance. I love it even more in the books. Later that afternoon, they go out to the haunted forest, as they call it, outside of the walls. So he and Sam kneel. They say the words to become members of the Night's Watch. They rise. Well, Jon helps Sam rise. And, and all the other men are there, you know, congratulating them and smiling and welcoming them to the Night's Watch. Ghost comes trotting up to him, and he's carrying something in his mouth. And he takes it over to Jon, and it's a hand. Like, he just took his oath. He just took his oath right there. And then, boom, 2 seconds later, trouble. Jon's trouble. He's just trouble. And that's it. I would like to remind all of you also that I'm just doing like a quick synopsis of what's going on. Like, you should really read the books. Like, go read the books yourself, because I am leaving out a lot. But I'm just giving you the rundown and giving you my thoughts on some of it. Next 3 are Ned, Sansa, and Jon, just so you know. That will be on Tuesday. I'm trying to get on the schedule here. I'm trying to get on the schedule here. That's it. I hope you enjoy it. Leave your comments and everything down below, and I will see you with another book review on Tuesday. Tomorrow is House of Cards. That's it. Bye.